You'll be happy to know that hell does not exist. That it's completely man-made, and it's designed to create fear and anxiety, so that if you don't do what we say, then your soul will be God will condemn you to hell for the rest of eternity, and you will burn in hell and suffer for. Okay, here's one for you. A soul doesn't have any nerve endings. So you're going to do what now? Your soul can go walking through the middle of the sun and be perfectly fine.
Interesting. Okay.
How are you going to torture me, bro? Nothing hurts. Bah. You
It's
know,
funny.
it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Hell does not exist. Okay. When you look at the near-death experiences and you look at the life reviews, there are people who have had relatively difficult lives. They've had a lot of trauma and bad situations that they've had to survive. And when they're talking about their near-death experience, they say, I was in hell. It was like I was in hell. I was going through hell. They use the word hell, and they say that it was very traumatic because they had a bad life and all kinds of bad things happened to them, and they had to confront those things as part of their life review. But it was always done in a compassionate way. So it's like you're going to school. It's like you're going to college, and you're
Interesting.
learning. Your soul is learning and growing as you come back in these multiple reincarnations.
So tell me, you've used the word, that's the second time you used the word reincarnation. So tell me what you mean by a reincarnation here.
Okay, so the way this works is, and again, this is not me talking, this is the data
Sure.
talking.
Yeah.
The way this works is that before you come to a life on Earth, that what's called your true eternal self, which is your part of your soul which never leaves the other side, that you basically send out a part of that energy to
Okay.
live a life on Earth. Before you come here to live that life, you come up with a life plan. It's like, well, I haven't, maybe I need to work on this, or I need to work on that, or let's see what it's like to be somebody who's, I don't know, handicapped, or, in some kind of a difficult situation, or chronic illness, or, any number, if they're blind, or any number of things, because, well, you got to learn a lot from that kind of a life, right? So they come up with this plan, and then that's your life plan that you're going to do when you come to the Earth. Now, remember, time doesn't matter on the other side. Time does not exist. It's not a linear timeline like here we are on Earth with 1 second, then the next moment, then the next moment. You can't live the moment from 10 minutes ago. You can't live the one that's going to come up in 10 minutes. The only moment you can live is the one that we're in right now. That's only in this reality. It doesn't exist on the other side. Time is basically multidimensional. So again, living an entire lifetime is basically like snapping your fingers. It doesn't mean anything at all. Time is irrelevant. Go and you live these experiences. An existence on Earth is considered one of the most difficult options. That we go through a lot of crap on this planet. Just ask the Middle Ages and swords, and it can be traumatic to be a human on Earth. But the point is that you go through these experiences, you learn things, you come back, and then you do it again, and you do it again until you learn, until you've basically got nothing left to learn, and then you become a spirit guide for everybody else, and then there's Drake. So that's kind of the plan.
So Drake is the goal. That's what
Drake.
that's here. Drake is the goal.
Have you ever heard of Jainism? Jainism. So Jainism originated in the northeast part of India, and it is the seed cosmology for both Hinduism and Buddhism. So both Hinduism and Buddhism grew out of Jainism. The problem with Jainism is it's a really bad franchise. So imagine if there was this dude named McDonald's that was really good at making cheeseburgers, and he made them on a street corner in any city in the world, but he didn't have any interest at all in making more restaurants. That was Jainism. They didn't care. They weren't evangelical at all. They weren't looking for new followers. They don't really care what you believe. But when you look at of what Jainism thinks and believes, it's basically a photocopy of what you learn by studying NDEs.
Okay.
Now, Hinduism and Buddhism both grew out of that, but they added elements to make it a more interesting franchise. So grow, and now there's a lot of people. All of the religions that survived that are around today are ones that have created and used these concepts and created a better franchise. There's 1.3 billion Catholics in the world, for example. That's a pretty good franchise. Every time you go to every little city you go in, anywhere, you're going to find a church spire, and it's going to be St. Joe's or whatever. Yeah, that's a good franchise. They got a good model for when it comes to creating more of them, because that's power control, money manipulation. That's why they do it.
Got
All
it.
you have to
That
do
makes
is just
sense.
study
Okay.
history to figure that one out. Now, what's interesting is Catholics, for example, have cut out the entire concept of reincarnation. You only got one
Mhm.
shot at the apple there.